Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I got a question for you. What is taking the CDC so long? So here's what I'm getting at. We are all waiting for the CDC to come up with guidelines for reopening, guidelines for the cruise ships, guidelines for amusement parks, hotels, everything. Well, especially the cruise ships, because they've had crew stuck at sea now since March in a lot of cases because the CDC had put restrictions in to not let, basically make it almost impossible for them to get their crew back home and get them off ships. And so last week, the CDC finally announced something about the cruise ships. And I said, oh, good. Are we going to have some opening guidelines for the cruise ships? Are we finally going to have all that? They've been working on that for 3 months now. We have it in place? No. It's taken them almost 3 months to come up with basically a stoplight system for the crew on board the cruise ships and whether or not they are safe to disembark or not. 3 months. It's taken them 3 months to come up with this red, yellow, green stoplight. And if you read it, it is the most basic information possible. A ship is red if there's a case of COVID-19 on it. Well, there's a surprise. A case is red if there's been a case on it within the last 28 days. There's a surprise. All right, well, what's green? Green means they haven't had any cases in the last 28 days. Okay, in a lot of cases, these cruise ships haven't had cases for 90 days, but okay, 28 days. What else? Oh, they haven't had any people come on board within the last 28 days from a ship that has had the virus in the last 28 days. Duh. No kidding. Well, if you did bring somebody on from a ship that had the virus onto this ship, you now go yellow. And that stays for 28 more days until it turns red. It turns green when that person has not come down with anything. And then if you do have cases on board, you're supposed to clean more, put people in cabins with their own private bathrooms. You know, common sense things. Things that I don't think I should need the Center for Disease Control to have initiated, or at the very least, take 3 months to come up with this thing that I'm quite sure that if you went to any cruiser convention and you said, hey guys, we have all these people on board the cruise ships, we have to determine which ships are safe to let people off and stuff like that. What do you think? Oh, well, the incubation cycle is 14 days. What if we doubled that to 28 days and that's the guideline? Okay. And if they have somebody on board, well, they have to wait till that's cleared. Like common sense things that I don't think we should have been waiting 3 months for that to come out. I don't think the people on the cruise ships deserve to have waited 90 days for that basic little information. It is the most basic guidelines I could ever think of. And so it's getting very, very frustrating. And also, how little they've said to the cruise lines about opening up or doing anything as far as what kind of guidelines they want. They haven't really, they're working with the cruise lines, but they haven't said what's safe, what's not safe, what they really need to do. And so the cruise lines are coming up with their own. The cruise lines are, well, we're going to have less people on board. Duh, of course you are. You're going to have to start up. You got to social distance somehow. Of course you're going to have less people on board. Just makes sense. Oh, by the way, we're going to, in the buffet, we're going to have people serve you the food instead. Okay, we've been saying that since March already, so that's not a new thing. That's not genius. We're going to have more cleaning on board. Duh. Again, duh. Common sense basic things. So where is the guidance? Where is the initiative from the CDC to help businesses open? Because they seem to not be there. They seem to be just a body saying that you can't do things now, and not a body saying, giving us any direction on how to help. Because all their helpful guidelines, and I appreciate, things have changed. Things change on a daily basis. But again, we're only going by what they tell us. Remember at the beginning, face masks are basically non-essential. You don't need them. Then all of a sudden, you know what? It might be a good idea if you do wear face masks. Oh, you know, the main place to get things is if you're touching things, it can stay on surfaces for, you know, up to 14 hours, and so you have to be really careful. Now the surfaces really isn't the danger of spreading things anymore. It's the particles in the air from your mouth. The particles in the air from the mouth can last up to 3 hours, apparently. And I appreciate it's not the easiest job in the world. But when we wait 90 days for some kind of guidance from the CDC for the cruise lines, and the first thing we get is how to get people off the ships or what ships are going to be classified as safe for employees, and we get the most basic, like, had that been in place probably 60 days ago, let's say after a month, I guarantee you the majority of the people still stuck on cruise ships would be home by now. But no, it took 90 days for this to happen. And so, yeah, I'm if you talk to the cruise line employees that are stuck on ships or come off ships, they'll tell you about the horrid things that they went through with the CDC changing their mind on a daily basis and canceling flights and putting in new restrictions. And it's not the cruise line that wasn't trying to get them home. They were trying to get them home right away. It was the restrictions put on them by the CDC. And now, this is the guidance that we get after 90 days. Okay, I'm challenging the people at the CDC now to come up with some real guidelines. Come out with, hey, if you want to open the cruise line industry, here's what you need to do. Because you're quite certain it's the epicenter of the world for the virus, but you have no solutions, no answers, and no guidance. Because less people and more cleaning is not guidance. Because my 7-year-old granddaughter could have thought of that. And you guys are supposed to be the experts in this. So yeah, I don't think this 90-day thing for what we got is acceptable. And I don't think not having any guidance whatsoever. They shut down for 100 days more than they originally shut us down for on all the cruise ports. And here we go. We're coming up on less than 2 months away now, and we still have had zero guidance from the people who are making that, decision, who are telling us we can't cruise, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. Zero guidance, especially for the cruise line industry. Especially for the cruise line industry. So yeah, I don't get it. Who's working on this? Because we've heard zero comments from the CDC about anything for cruise ships. Zero. So they're not even coming out and saying, you know what, we're working closely with the cruise industry and we're coming up with guidelines and we're coming up with things that'll help them and recoup the businesses that are being devastated across the country, all the cruise ports, all the people who have lost their jobs, all the income being lost, all the inconvenience, everything. We're working on it to solve that, and we're going to come up with solutions. They haven't said boo. They have not opened their mouths once, other than to say you can't cruise. We're closing our ports. Okay, what do we need to do to open our ports? I don't know, give us a year? Maybe give us a couple years and we'll give you some guidance on how to reopen your cruising industry. Thank you very much. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. And until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation. Whenever the CDC will let us vacation.